It is 10:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Nashville Predators staved off elimination on Tuesday with a 2-1 win in Game 5 at Vancouver. Roman Josi, Alexander Carrier, the goal scorers. Carrier's game winner coming from the blue line with just over 7 minutes to play in the third period. The Preds now trail the series 3-2. Game 6 will be in Nashville Friday night. Around the NHL, the Hurricanes won Game 5. They advanced past the Islanders to the second round. The Avalanche beat the Jets 6-3 to win the series in Game 5. And the Maple Leafs stayed alive with an overtime win over the Bruins to force Game 6. College baseball, Tennessee dropped a midweek matchup against Lipscomb on Tuesday, 9-6. The Vols are 37-8. They travel to Florida for a series starting on Thursday. Vanderbilt beat Tennessee Tech 8-7 on Tuesday. They are 32-18. They have a series at Georgia this weekend starting Friday. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Well, how the turntables. Good morning. Welcome in on this Victory Wednesday for all of us Preds believers, not the non-believers, like the one that sits across from me.
Jackson.
In this studio.
Oh, you're talking to me?
That's right. The Nashville Predators. Game of their lives, maybe not lives on the line, though, in Vancouver. Got it done in a just triumphant late night. Most of you probably went to sleep fashion. Even still, there's a Game 6 that will be played on Friday because the Preds got it done, and I called it, and it made me happy. And then I told Lucas I would like the audio of you picking the Preds, picking against the Preds last night to start the show. I think that'd be funny. I think we should do a bit. And then I asked Jackson, while Lucas is very, pretentiously reading his breaking sports news update and glossing over in the update about the Preds' victory, that he did not believe that they were going to win. He thought they were done. He thought they were buried. He thought they were dead. Fraud. And I asked Jackson for the audio, and what do you tell me?
I asked what it was. I didn't know.
You didn't know. Because I entrusted him with self-policing. It was the one thing that was promised to me when I agreed to let him move into this studio. All right, that's fine. Let's level the playing field a little bit. We can have just as much audio of you being wrong as there is audio of me being wrong. And what did he do? He covered it up. Controversy to start the morning.
Not quite sure what you're speaking of.
Shame.
I'm an idiot, and I was wrong.
Yes. I want more of that.
I take no responsibility. And the Nashville Predators bring it back to Smashville. I was in the building on Sunday, waving my little yellow towel around. Were you? No, you weren't.
That's right. I stayed home because I wanted them to win. You went and they lost. You're a plague. You're bad luck. It's shifted. It's like a disease. It's passed from me onto you. It's no longer my problem. You're the problem. How's it feel?
This was trending towards being one of the more frustrating playoff losses.
Oh, my God.
An in-turn playoff series in recent Preds history, just the way this game was going. Absolutely.
I thought they were dead.
Power play just could not get settled in whatsoever. And UC Saros played well for 99% of this game. And it just felt like the Preds were not going to find the goal that they needed to stay alive in this series. And then the third period happened, and the Predators survive.
Now, I don't want to give him credit for 99% of the game because I feel like he should get a greater percentage off for how bad that goal was that he allowed. The goal that put Vancouver up 1-0 that the Preds had to dig then out of was as bad a goal as he's given up in a big spot this year. And we're going to have a conversation later on in the show about how much of this is a legacy series for UC Saros, who, I mean, Lucas, I said it to you this morning. I felt like if he'd have lost that game, that might have been his last game in net for the Predators for all the reasons that we talked about with Teresa the other day. because they have and I'll butcher his name, the Milwaukee Admirals prospect. Askarov. They have Askarov, who is going to, or who projects to be better at the NHL level. UC has been functional to at times above average for sure, but there's a level of inconsistency there and just, physical limitations that sometimes he's not going to be able to overcome, that you're just going to have to work with on a regular basis. And for the most part, he does it really, really well. I'm not saying that I'm completely out on UC Saros, but when his future here was already on the line at the trade deadline, had they lost that game and had they gotten tossed in a gentleman's sweep by the Vancouver Canucks instead of forcing a Game 6, especially with how bad that goal was that he allowed, I think there's a really real case for him not being here beyond that game.
Yeah, that goal was great for the UC Saros' too small crowd. The way he just snuck in right above his helmet. But apart from that, UC kept the Preds in this game, and the Preds were missing out on chance after chance after chance. And when Ryan McDonough missed that wide open net,
bad.
I thought Preds are not winning this game. And then Alex Carrier with his first career postseason goal. He only has 10 goals to his career generally. Comes up huge from the blue line with just a bullet that sneaks into that bottom corner. And the Preds survive the flurry, the 6-on-5 that the Canucks jumped all over Nashville with to win Game 4 and have that 2-goal comeback late on Sunday. And Preds survived it. They move on. They bring it back to Smashville.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to react to the Preds Game 5 win in Vancouver last night. Like Lucas said, the series comes back here to Nashville, and people in the F&M Bank chat, where you can also interact with the show. You can live stream it, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Your comments can be left there. They're now demanding that I go to the next game, but here's the problem. I'm occupied on Friday night. I've got a live show right smack at, well, we don't have an official announced time for the Preds game, yeah?
I have not seen an official puck drop.
Okay, we're assuming it's going to be sometime, between 6 and 8 p.m. Central Time, one would imagine. Okay, and unfortunately, for those of you who now want me to go to try and right the wrongs of Lucas attending Game 4, I've got the live show with Rand Carthon. Now, we're going to work the Preds into this podcast, into this Titans draft reaction podcast in some form or fashion, because obviously if there's a playoff game going on right down the road from the Hutton Hotel, we're going to want to keep people updated with it. So I'm trying to figure out how to do a live Panzika Preds update without cutting off the general manager of the Titans. Yes. Although that would be very on brand for this show, and it would allow more of the stupidity and more of the inefficiency and poor production value from this show to seep into the other things that I'm doing.
Well, why don't we just cut you off with it rather than cut off Rand Carthon or Greg Cosell? We are all there to hear Rand Carthon and Greg Cosell. I do not want to interrupt either of them, but when you're talking, I'll have no problem running you over with a Panzika Preds update.
Oh, I just heard you say cut off. My fault.
Well done, Jackson. Well done, Jackson. You are learning.
Have you picked a side yet?
I play both sides. I'm a switch hitter here.
That doesn't work.
No, Jackson, he knows what he's doing. Play both sides. You always come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked okay for him thus far, although
I respect it.
The returns on that are questionable at best, although he does seem to be evading the same kind of scrutiny. I don't know. I feel like you need to pick a side.
There is some Preds news. Not UC Saros. Roman Josi, who scored the first goal last night. I guess he got credited with it. The Preds found the solution to the power play, by the way. Instead of just trying to get set up in the zone, it's just absolute brute force. Just send it right down the middle, vertically attack, put the puck behind the goalie, and push the goalie into the puck and into the net. And that's how they scored their first goal. It goes to Roman Josi. He has officially been named one of the 3 finalists for the Norris Trophy. Very well deserved. No defenseman in the NHL had more goals or points than Roman Josi in the regular season, so that is not shocking, but that is official.
So now, it's ironic because 3 minutes into this conversation, I just got an email from Xfinity. Okay, It says Bally Sports is no longer available with Xfinity. How many of you? And we talked about this yesterday. I wasn't sure how many people were actually watching this on cable because I think a lot of people consider the Bally Sports app to be a bit of a nightmare. Is that your?
It is, and it's unfortunate because love the Bally Sports crew.
They're great. It's Mason, it's Willie, it's Lindsay, it's Hal, it's the whole gang. And I was watching that game on Bally Sports because I am an Xfinity customer. And then I saw some tweets to the effect of, well, at 11 o'clock sharp, you won't be able to watch it on Bally Sports. Xfinity has lost the rights or has been in some dispute with Bally Sports, so they'll no longer carry the game as of 11 o'clock sharp. You have to be on TBS. And then 11 o'clock happened, and I was still watching it on Bally Sports. And I said, oh, okay. It's not that deep. Until halfway through the third period, in the midst of them trying to come back and keep their season alive, it goes out on Bally Sports, and I do have to switch to TBS, and I'm throwing my hands up in the air like, what the hell? How does that happen?
Bally Sports Help, at Bally Sports Help on Twitter last night at 11:18, right around when this happened, tweeted, unfortunately, Comcast has rejected a proposed extension that would have kept our channels on the air, and instead, they pulled our signals while we continue to pursue a multi-year renewal agreement. As a result, Bally Sports broadcasts are unavailable to Comcast subscribers. We encourage you to contact Comcast directly at 1-800-XFINITY. In the meantime, on myhometeams.com. So I love when this happens. You have these disputes. And then
do you want me to read my side? Because you've just read, or the
Comcast side?
Yeah, I've got it here.
What did Comcast have to say?
Unfortunately, our program agreement with Diamond Sports Group has expired. This means we no longer have the rights to carry their channels, including your local Bally Sports network. The loss of this channel will result in savings that will pass along to you. How about that?
Oh.
Hey, I get money back. Eat it, Bally. And
Comcast
you'll see
1, Bally 0.
A monthly, what can you offer me, Bally? Your terrible app or money? I like money. Xfinity wins. You'll see a monthly credit on your bill in the coming weeks. You don't need to do anything to receive your credit. I love that. Lazy and I get money? This is ideal. Oh, Bally. I think it's 2-0 Xfinity at this point.
I love when you get into these and both sides are just putting out statements like that. And there's always like Bally saying, hey, not our fault. We proposed an extension that Comcast rejected when we have no idea what the details of the extension are.
Oh, let me give you the cherry on top of the bleep sandwich that is this particular email. We know that unexpected changes to your channel lineup can be frustrating. We've been flexible with Diamond Sports Group, who is in bankruptcy proceedings. Which is true.
Oof.
Which is true. So they just said, yeah, they're broke. Well, we don't want their product anymore. We'll give you money because we have money and they don't.
Well, that's the screen that showed up for you, right? On Xfinity. Yeah. It says, this big blue screen that just says, the owner of Bally Sports is in bankruptcy proceedings, and we have offered them multiple options to continue carrying their networks. They have declined each one, and we no longer have the rights to continue carrying their content. Great time for this to be happening in the middle of the NHL postseason.
It's not as good as our General Hospital soaps, but it's, as close as cable companies come. Coming up next, we will dive into a couple of different conversations, taking a look at the biggest question that you would have for Rand Carthon about this draft class. So you're going to have the opportunity to ask the general manager if you're attending the live show on Friday. You're going to get to ask the GM a question about the players that he just picked. But if you can't make it on Friday, now's your chance to pose the hypothetical. What one thing would you want to ask Rand? We'll talk about that coming up next. Oh, yeah. Staying alive. That's what the Nashville Predators did last night. 2-1 in Vancouver. Eat it. Canada hate month? Question mark? Well, I guess the month is officially turned over because it's not going to be May. It is May.
It's May. But it will continue.
Look at how quickly he tried to move on from that. He got so uncomfortable after he did it in front of a microphone. Look at him run.
If the Predators do take this thing all the way up to 7 and get out of the first round against the Canucks, it would seem as though the Oilers would be awaiting them. They're up 3-1 on the LA Kings. So Canada hate month would continue on if that were the case.
I just wish they weren't so damn likable. They're all so likable.
Oh, Canadians just generally?
Except for, what's the big goon's name that kept scoring goals last night, or has scored goals against the Preds, scored the goal last night, that cross-checked Forsberg. I mean, just as clear an example of a cross-check, just put a stick in his back.
Yeah, Zadorov.
Is that how you... I don't think that's correct.
Nikita Zadorov is Russian.
You just made him into, like, Zatarans. You just made him into, like, instant rice.
He's Russian. Who are you talking about?
I don't know. I was hoping that he was Canadian so I could hate him, but he's not. He's Russian. Which is even more hateable.
Yeah, because Bezer, who had the hat trick... Zadorov.
That's how you pronounce it.
He's Russian. Bezer, who had the hat trick, is from Minnesota. He's American. So I don't know. I don't know who the most hateable Canadian is on the Canucks.
615-737-1045 is the number. Now, we established a new game on the show. And I love, did the caller remember or did you remember, Jackson?
I remembered.
Oh, look at that.
This is a new caller.
This is a first time. Those make me happy. Anytime you call the show, I don't want to know where you're calling from. I want to know what you do for a living. That's the new game on the show. In fact, I'm thinking about making people do that at the live podcast too, which is going to be fun because maybe you have stories and I'd like to know more about you guys since we spend so much time with you on a regular basis. If you want to join the conversation, but the thing that we teased here is what one question would you have for Rand Carthon about the draft class that he put together? We obviously had several press conferences with him. We've spoken to him about a variety of different things. And we'll do the 3-hour live show. He won't be a part of the entire 3 hours, but we'll do a portion of the live show with Rand where people will have the opportunity to ask him questions. Greg and I will as well. But for you, if you're not going to be there, what one thing would you want to know about your draft class? Brian, who's an equipment operator, is up next. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
We sure can.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you for taking my call, a first-time caller, long-time listener. So we've heard over and over and over Joe Alt for months. And I'm not so sure Joe Alt was even the pick. I think it was Latham. And here's my idea. So Diana Rossini reported that J.C. Latham was Bill Callahan's favorite pick, not just as an offensive lineman, but in the entire draft.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that it was kind of the media that they pushed Joe Alt. The Titans want Joe Alt. They want Joe Alt. And then at the last minute, we heard some whispers and murmurs about it being J.C. Latham. I think the Titans got their guy with Joe Alt, with J.C. Latham. I don't think it was Joe Alt even to begin with. I think it's always been J.C. Latham.
So that would be your question?
To Rand, my question to Rand is J.C. Latham the number one pick? Was he the guy all along? And the Titans just did a really good job of diverting the attention away from J.C. Latham. That's my question.
Subterfuge. Has a general manager in the history of professional football ever said that their first-round pick wasn't the best guy that they had on their board? Ever. Has it ever happened once?
Has an athletic director ever said that the head coach that he hired to run his football or basketball or whatever program said, well, he was fourth on the list, but that's who we got. We got who we got. No, he was the number one guy all along.
I'm willing to bet they may not give you a completely 100%. Now, maybe it's so. We'll never know the honest-to-God answer to that question because even if they say that was the number one guy that we had on our board, I'm going to look at him and say, really? Are you 100% sure?
You think they would have taken Alt?
I know they would have taken Alt. I was told they would have taken Alt. The text that I got about it from people in the draft room was, LA knew that Joe Alt wasn't getting past us, so they had to take him at 5. So they would have taken either, is the moral of the story. And it's never just, or at least if your front office is doing things the right way, it's never about just one player. you have to have a scenario for 3, 4. I mean, if you're going crazy and you have the time and you have the manpower, maybe 4 or 5 different scenarios at what you're going to do for every pick and how you're going to have these guys stacked at every position. So it's not just, is T'Vondre Sweat the best tackle on the board? It may not be for several other teams who could have had a pick in the same area, but it was for the Titans. It made the most sense for them, and they went with their best case scenario as they judged it to be. But if they hadn't been able to pull it off, or if they'd have chosen to do something different like a trade, they would have had to be properly prepared for this, had multiple scenarios with multiple players at the same position to still try and satisfy the need that they clearly and obviously have on the roster. So I'm not saying that it's not a worthwhile question to ask. I've just been in rooms and asked that question myself many, many times, and I've never heard somebody ever say, no, he was like our third tackle. Now, this is a new era. The people that are talking to us don't look like they want to incite violence upon us every time that we approach a podium or that they approach a podium. So maybe we would get some transparency. It's not all of these questions are worthwhile if you're talking to the person that gets to make the decisions. Why wouldn't you ask him?
It's worth a question to Rand Carthon.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What do you think was the more quote-unquote controversial pick among Titans fans? Sweat at 38 or Latham at 7?
They don't seem to be terribly, bothered by either of them. Like, it's more of the issue about Sweat. Like, Titans fans just seem, okay, whatever. Like, he's not Isaiah Wilson.
I think most Titans fans
are
excited about Sweat.
I think most people, I think the vast majority of them are. And, because nothing's wrong really yet. Yes, you did take a guy with a couple of red flags. Almost every team in the draft is going to take a guy with a couple of red flags, be they medical, be they behavioral, whatever the case may be. It's probably Sweat.
I disagree. I think we got more reactions on Latham. I can't believe they took a right tackle to be left and they don't even know if he's going to be the left tackle. We got more of that on Friday. I haven't heard a single dissenting opinion on T'Vondre Sweat. Yes, he had some inconsistencies in college. Obviously, there was the off-field issue, but I think most fans look at that and say, yeah, they wanted to partner somebody with Jeffrey Simmons there. He was their favorite prospect in that spot. No problem with T'Vondre Sweat. I think Latham was not a very controversial draft, right? But I think Latham was the more quote-unquote controversial among fans because he's a right tackle. In college, and everybody that Titans fans have been listening to throughout the pre-draft process have told them, on this show too, Jordan Reed of ESPN, whatever draft analyst has told us, no, he's a right tackle. He can play guard, but he's not going to be a left tackle, right? Isn't that what Jordan Reed told us on this show?
He was very definitive, not that he would play guard, but that he would be definitively a right tackle.
Yes, exactly. So now that doesn't matter. Bill Callahan's evaluation and the Titans' evaluation is what matters, and that's what Titans fans will trust from here on out.
No, but it's good to hear dissenting opinions because it's like Cosell and Alt, right? It's okay to point out when these prospects have deficiencies because at some point, as pros, that's going to pop up. It's worth paying attention to, so you're aware of it.
But all that to say, if you're not a fan of the Latham pick and that being your solution at left tackle, what would you have wanted them to do differently is my question. With Alt off the board, they couldn't control that.
Well, it's not just Alt, it's Neighbors off the board because what I would have immediately deferred to is, okay, get Neighbors.
Alt's off the board, Neighbors is off the board. So clearly the Titans wanted to find a left tackle solution with that pick, right? Whether they were doing it at 7 or trading out. So maybe your contention is, well, you could have traded out of the top 10 and still landed Alt and gotten a third-round pick out of it or whatever. You don't know that because the Jets obviously were in the market for a tackle, and it wasn't worth that risk to them.
And all the offensive linemen that went in the first round, you would have missed out on an opportunity to get a player that you were very, very comfortable with and left the rest of it to, not that that's outright variance, but there's a pretty big drop-off between the top of this tackle class and guys that are going to be functional and, starting caliber players, and there will be some dudes that wash out in the first round or whatever. But when you talk to people about this, it feels like the prospects that you feel the best about based on how they project to the NFL, their skill set and their pedigree is Alt and Latham as potential Pro Bowl caliber players. You don't know if they're going to be all pro. You're not saying that they're going to be Hall of Famers, whatever, but just functional pros for 8 to 10 years, provided that they stay as healthy as humanly possible.
Football Fred on the F&M Bank chat says they did what they had to do in those circumstances.
It's not ideal, and it's also a different name that it's the only thing that bothered people is because it's a different name.
Yeah, it's a different name.
The same thing that happened, anytime you change anything, like after you've been hearing things for months and months and months and months, and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen, and you're looking around and be like, who? Well, not that J.C. Latham is an unknown commodity. This is a player at Alabama. This is one of the most successful programs, and their offensive line track record hasn't been super stellar, but whatever. You don't have to read too much into that about and how that projects to individual prospects just because the history has been one way. It's not what it is at all.
People have been told throughout the process who are the best left tackles in this draft: Alt, Fashanu, Fuaga,
and what's happening to the best left tackle in this draft?
He's a right tackle.
He's going to play right tackle.
That's the crazy thing here.
Like he's playing right tackle.
Alt was unquestionably the best left tackle in the draft. Latham was unquestionably the best right tackle in the draft, and they're both going to have to make
it doesn't mean anything. They're coaches. If they're good enough athletes, their job is to figure it out. Okay,
they're both making the transition.
That Dylan Radins didn't make the transition seamlessly from left tackle to right tackle is less an indictment. I mean, maybe there's some indictment to be had on the Titans coaching staff at the time, but it's also about Radins, okay? If the player can't do it, the coaches are there to try and put them in the position to succeed. They're going to throw all kinds of different dudes at all kinds of different positions all year long. They have to because they're just looking for bodies to get out there and play football games, okay? Did you see the way that Jeff Fisher and Coach Mack just laughed at people?
Waved it off.
Just how stupid are people that this is the primary issue that's being taken with Bill Callahan working with a top-tier offensive line prospect.
Right, and that's the difference. If Jason Hoteling was still the Titans O-line coach, how would you feel about this pick?
I would not feel good at all.
If Jason Hoteling, first-time O-line coach, was the one tasked with making that transition happen,
I'd burn them down for how stupid this is.
I'm in danger.
Exactly. I would be dragging them for 3 hours a day on the radio like, you dopes, what are we doing?
But Bill Callahan has a history of doing just this.
He gets
turning
to do
right
this.
tackles into left tackles.
Not all situations are created equal, okay? As this offensive line group has taught us over the course of the last 2 years. I don't care what they do with the line situation. As long as Bill Callahan tells me it's going to be okay, that's good enough for me. It's good enough. It's a proven commodity with a track record of success, and he's getting even if it's not the best tackle prospect, he's one of the best. And Cosell argued with a lot of people that he is the better prospect than Joe Alt, even if Alt or Latham wasn't your favorite prospect, or however you had these guys stacked, that he's still a better prospect than Alt. So the hand-wringing about this was always a bit ridiculous. 615-737-1045 is the number. What one question would you want to ask the GM about the new draft class? Cody is a nurse up next. Hey, Cody.
Good morning, boys. First off, Fred's in 7. Also, what I would ask Rand would be, was there any discussion, negotiation, scuttlebutt, whatever, about maybe trying to offload Ryan Tannehill for some draft capital? It'd be nice to get something for the guy instead of just letting him go for nothing. Thanks, and y'all have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Cody. You think, it's so easy to do that with Tannehill, less so, but Derek, because they could have gotten something for Derek. How Byard turned into 3 other defensive backs. You know what I'm saying?
The question for Derek is, was it worth the Jacksonville game, the big performance at the end, the opportunity to say goodbye, the way that he kind of was able to put a bow on his legendary Titans career? Now,
I'm the wrong person to ask, usually in these situations. I think we can all acknowledge this, yes?
It wasn't worth the sentimentality.
But I'm going to go with the fan opinion here, which is that, yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. It was cool. It was cool.
It was.
That's a moment that certain segments of Titans fans are going to have for the rest of their lives, because the only reason to show up last year was Levis for a hot second, and then when he wasn't good enough to fix everything because it was still a disaster around him, and you didn't go to the Miami game, most of you, I'm sure, to see Derek was the only reason to show up at that stadium. He is going to be a franchise legend. He is a franchise legend. I think to some extent, is it worth a 7th, a 6th, or whatever you would have gotten for a 30-year-old running back on an expiring contract? You know what I'm saying? You're not getting the day 2 pick that you want out of him.
I don't know. the Ravens sound like they wanted Derrick Henry.
They did want to. They
And think about
obviously
the
did.
difference that he would have made in the postseason for Baltimore.
So you're gonna go neutral observer on this. You're not going to take.
So crazy to think you could have gotten a third for Derrick Henry?
Yes, I think it's insane.
For the Ravens, who
I
are
think it's
putting
crazy.
chips in to go for a Super Bowl?
A third?
I don't think it's insane.
I think it's crazy.
If it's a 6th or a 7th they're talking about, then I do think it's worth
If I was a
finishing it out.
Ravens fan, I'd be pissed if they traded a third for Derrick Henry. No.
What did the Eagles trade for Byard?
A 5th and a 6th, and then they sent Terrell Edmonds.
A 5th, a 6th, and a player. So it's that crazy to think that Henry, still at the top of his game, would go for a third for a team going for the Super Bowl?
Yes.
I don't know. It doesn't seem
so.
that insane.
Would
to
you
me.
have done it?
If I'm the Titans?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think a third-round pick is worth...
No, not a third-round pick. Let's say, okay, I'll even give you a 4th. I'll give you a day 3 pick, a package of day 3 picks. Would you have done it? And, had the Derrick Henry thing come to a very, probably, not nasty, because he would have probably gone on to compete for a championship. He certainly would have gone on to compete for a championship sooner than he did last year with the Titans. So it's not like it would have been outright terrible, and he was prepared to go. He and everybody around him were prepared to be in Baltimore for the rest of the year. Would you have done it?
For a 4th.
Yeah.
I think so. I think what you're talking about, a 6th, a 7th, and no, for me, it's worth it to keep Henry the rest of the season, to have that moment, to keep Jacksonville out of the playoffs. I do take some satisfaction out of that you ruined Jacksonville's season. But for a 3rd or a 4th with the needs this team has, and you were out of the playoff race, yeah, I think it would have been worth it.
615-737-1045 is the number. We have Morgan Wallen tickets to win. Not yet. Not yet. Don't call Jackson yet.
Stay back.
Hold.
Hold. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do the dumbest thing in sports this week. And you have to, listen carefully, you have to give me the dumbest thing in sports this week to have a chance to win the tickets. You cannot call Jackson. You cannot give him your name and occupation and then just expect that you're going to be handed a pair of Morgan Wallen tickets to the concert tomorrow night. That's not how it works around here, all right? Name, occupation, dumbest thing in sports. 11 o'clock. Coming up next, though, SEC observations. We got some observations. We got some SEC observations. A lot of things going around in transfer portal news. You've got the Big Orange Caravan in town yesterday. I know 3HL was out there broadcasting live. It was a really cool moment to see Bob Kessling go in the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. That was cool to have Mike Keith kind of crash the party a little bit and then make a party out of it. Really? Really?
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Nick Saban and Josh Heupel in the SEC. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Brian Kelly and Greg Sankey in the SEC. Let's talk about sex.
I shoulder danced through that whole thing, but I did it unwillingly because that was so wrong what you just did to Bob Kessling. So wrong.
I did not condone that.
What do you mean you told me to do it?
You told me to do it then.
No. I said not now. I said no. We were going to.
Jackson.
I heard now.
It's the second
All he
cover
heard
up.
was the second word.
We are not even through an hour of show, and you've tried to cover up twice.
He looked at me and said, now.
Jackson got in my ear and said, want me to run him over? I said, yes. Then you started to talk about Mike Keith surprising. And I said, not now, because Bob Kessling deserves to be in the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
I'm on your side. These two ingrates, okay?
No, I tried
They
to stop
interrupted
it.
you with let's talk about sex.
I agreed. I was like, yeah, run him over. Then you started talking about Kessling. Wait, no, not yet. And then he just heard now, and he hit the button. No, well-deserved. Bob Kessling.
No. You don't get to, no. You don't get to say the nice things after you do the completely disrespectful
Did you reach
thing.
out to Bob? I'm sure you reached out and said, oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't even think to, I'm sure. Anyway, SEC observations.
You always text Bob. I don't have his number.
So, looking at NFL draft or rookie betting odds. So, for rookie of the year, for guys that were just drafted out of the SEC. So, trying to think about the SEC players that landed in the best situations with the best opportunities to contribute now. Now, before I read these odds, let me preface it by saying I think there is a real argument for Jalen Wright in this, of just finding the best fit in the best moment, in the best situation on how a team is going to utilize him in the Miami Dolphins and the timing of everything with Raheem Mostert nearing the end of his time in Miami, his contract up at the end of next season, and A-Chain with the injury problems he has had, and just what Jalen Wright brings, that speed, that explosiveness for a team that just wants to get out there and run a track meet every week. Does Jalen Wright have an argument for a guy who fell probably more than he would have wanted, right? He certainly wasn't anywhere close to being the first running back off the board. I feel like Jalen Wright landed in the best possible scenario. The running back out of Tennessee.
Am I going to pick two homer positions out of the gate?
What was the first one?
Well, the first one was me saying that they shouldn't have traded Derrick Henry just for a day 3 pick.
For the sentimentality of that Jags game.
What if J.C. Latham is in the best position to succeed because of who drafted him? And I'm not saying the Titans, I'm saying Bill Callahan. Now, I completely understand your argument, and I think there's multiple right answers to this question, right? I think there's a couple of different places that you could look, but if I'm going to say implicitly that I trust Bill Callahan with his decision-making and his influence on the decision-making of this organization, then I think I could also make the argument that J.C. Latham landed in the best possible position for a guy who's it's gonna set him up for success, right? He's gonna play left tackle. That's the more profitable position of the two.
Better than Joe Alt.
You know what I'm saying? Like Joe Alt just took a haircut as soon as they decided to slide him over the right, and Jim Harbaugh got up in front of everybody and said, yeah, Slater's our left tackle. So I think if I wanted to go full homer on this, I could say Latham, but I like the idea of Jalen Wright in Miami. I really like the Dolphins draft just generally.
Yeah, because you look at the first round picks out of the SEC, and Brock Bowers lands in Vegas, who drafted Michael Mayer last year. There's not really a defined quarterback situation in Vegas. It's Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew.
Just so I'm clear, is this discussion about the best fit generally, or about the idea of offensive rookie of the year? Because Latham's not going to win offensive rookie of the year.
Of course not. I do want to talk about the offensive rookie of the year odds, but I just wanted to pose that because Jalen Wright, I suppose, would be deep down in terms of the sports books, and theoretically he could have a huge season and win, but it's not likely. I just wanted to set up some guys that likely are not going to be in that discussion. But for the offensive and defensive rookie of the year discussions, the favorite to win offensive rookie of the year is who, Buck?
Oh, Jaden Daniels.
Caleb Williams. Sorry, not the SEC player.
I'm
but
sorry.
just the overall favorite.
Yes,
is Caleb Williams.
I misheard you.
Who do you think is the second favorite? Not just that, just overall. Who do you think is the second favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Williams is plus 210. The second favorite is plus 1,000. FanDuel Sportsbook.
It's not Marvin Harrison, is it?
It's J.J. McCarthy.
Really?
Who's in a good situation in Minnesota.
That's a roster that's ready to win for sure and just needs to kind of figure it out at quarterback or at least keep as many training wheels on it for McCarthy as humanly possible.
Man, J.J. McCarthy, has any quarterback gotten more benefit of what is around him from college to pro?
Oh, from college to pro? Yeah. No, because Caleb Williams' defense just was a betrayal.
Right, exactly. So Xavier Worthy is the third favorite at plus 1,600. Roma Dunze comes in. Oh, I'm sorry. I read this wrong. Caleb Williams is the favorite at plus 210. I was reading it vertically. It goes horizontal too. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the second favorite at plus 600.
I thought that might be right.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels is the third favorite at plus 900. Then J.J. McCarthy at plus 1,000.
I was going to say
McCarthy
is the second favorite. It was crazy.
Malik Neighbors is the fourth favorite with the Giants at plus 1,400. So of the two SEC products in that kind of top five of Offensive Rookie of the Year favorites between Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, who do you think has the better opportunity?
Jaden Daniels. Malik Neighbors has Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, I don't know that they're going to stick with Daniel Jones all year. Like they may decide at a certain point because they already, apparently aren't, at least they're not down on him enough to take J.J. McCarthy at 6, but they're down on him to an extent. So it feels like Daniel Jones's days are numbered. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Receiver is as dependent a position as exists in the NFL. I think Jaden Daniels would be a layup pick over Malik Neighbors there.
Yeah, and just the ability to make plays with his legs, right? The opportunity will be there for Jaden Daniels as a day one starter.
We were talking with Rep Brian of Titans Radio about this. If this dude gets hit the way that he got hit in college football, he's not going to last. Like there's a different conversation to be had about Lamar Jackson 2.0 because that's what some of the messaging was around Jaden Daniels. And I don't think he's got as strong an arm. I know he doesn't have a strong arm as Lamar does. And the thing about Lamar Jackson is that he doesn't take these just eviscerating shots that you think a mobile quarterback or a quarterback that you deem to be mobile is taking on a regular basis because he's getting down. He knows how to protect himself. Jaden Daniels famously looks like he just spontaneously combusts when he takes some of these hits. Like he's just like a Lego man that just goes up in pieces. I don't know. Washington's offensive line situation, they got to figure out too.
I don't know if there was a more clutch quarterback, though, in this draft than Jaden Daniels from college. Just based on what his team needed from him with how bad that defense was, the amount of games LSU had to win 55-50 or lost by that scoreline like at Ole Miss last year, where there were so many countless 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 13s deep in your own territory that you had to have because if you didn't score on every possession, you were going to lose the game that Jaden Daniels converted. Really quickly, who do you think is the favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Not Dallas Turner.
It is Dallas Turner at plus 500. Dallas Turner of the Minnesota Vikings. Latu with the Colts, the second favorite. Then Jared Verse.
I think I would have said Latu.
Then Quinyon Mitchell. Then Terrion Arnold, who is in a good spot. The corner out of Alabama goes to a team in Detroit that has a desperate need at cornerback. Everything that happened with Cam Sutton and that defensive backfield struggled last year.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie corner, though. I mean, he could be good. He could be great, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Those are the SEC observations.
Yes.
Do you want to apologize to Bob Kessling?
No, Bob and I are good. You can apologize to him for not reaching out and congratulating him on a well-deserved honor. Oh, but you don't have his number. We have something to give away.
I think that's a fine. I think that's a damn fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that was so, is that what it sounds like?
Yeah.
That was gross.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Oh, I have a totally different perspective on this now.
You're going to stop doing it now, aren't you?
Yeah, but I hope you do it more. I hope you have to. Oh, this is just such a. Look at you. You're turning into me. Welcome.
I don't have Morgan Wallen's number. I likely never will. Maybe you can get it if you win 2 tickets to see him tomorrow in Nissan Stadium.
That was a graceful transition by you. You could also get a chair to the head. That's probably what this show needs. Your chance to win Morgan Wallen tickets if you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week. Coming up next, 615-737-1045 is the number. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.
It is 11:02. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Nashville Predators staved off elimination Tuesday with a 2-1 win in Game 5 at Vancouver. Alexander Carrier with the game winner coming from the blue line with just over 7 minutes to go in the third. The Preds now trail the series 3-2. Game 6 will be in Nashville Friday night. This morning, Preds defenseman Roman Josi, who got on the board with a goal last night as well, was named a finalist for the Norris Trophy. It is Josi's third career nomination. He won the award in 2020. Around the NHL, the Hurricanes won Game 5. They advanced past the Islanders to the second round. The Avalanche beat the Jets 6-3, winning the series in Game 5. And the Maple Leafs stayed alive with an overtime win over the Bruins to force Game 6. For other foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We're in here scheming to start the second hour. Bert, for some reason, wants to continue to try and be a part of this radio show, and I cannot get him out of here fast enough. Get out. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. You better be prepared because it's time for the dumbest thing in sports this week. Let's go. You weren't ready. What are you staring at me for?
Well, let's be honest.
Now, wait.
You've
fade
already
it down.
seen something
Fade
this
it
week
down.
that made you say,
What the is this?
That's bullshit.
What the hell? Give me some
Get rid of
more.
it.
something so mind...
I won't be silenced. What are you doing?
He's watching the show.
No, he's not watching the show.
No, Joseph pointed out something in the show and I'm
Joseph,
distracted.
get on the microphone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What are you doing?
No, he can't. He doesn't have headphones
Oh,
on.
my God.
This is
This is unbelievable.
a terrible exercise.
This is unbelievable. How are we this bad at this? We do the thing at the same time every day.
Well, let's be honest. You've already seen something this week that made you say,
What the is this?
That's bullshit.
What the hell? Give me some more now.
something so mind-numbingly idiotic that you just want to get it off your chest.
Dumber than a second coat of paint.
Some idiot. You are really dumb. For real.
It's the dumbest thing in sports this week on the Buck Rising Show.
615-737-1045 is the number. Don't wave at me. I'll send Bert back there naked like he does to me on primetime. That came out wrong.
That's an HR.
HR! You want some Morgan Wallen tickets? Maybe I'll rage give them to you if you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week. 615-737-1045 is the number. How am I not going to nominate us as the dumbest thing in sports this week when it is so hard for us to do the thing that we are tasked with doing every day for 3 hours a day? You cannot manufacture this level of bad consistently. How is this possible? That's my dumbest thing in sport. We are the dumbest thing in sports this week, perpetually.
All right, well, you quit whining. Let's get on with it.
I just did it. It's us.
Oh, that's it?
Wait,
That's actually your dumbest thing in
did
sports.
you not just see how we opened the second hour of professional radio? Do you know how many people that want to do this job on a regular basis that would kill this job, that would absolutely execute it to a T professionally? And we just trip and fall down a flight of stairs every time we try to do anything.
Do you know how easy you are to tune out when you start yelling like that? It's like 3 words in and I'm out. I can't.
What's your dumbest thing in sports this week?
David Tepper, Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper, who I guess was just driving around in Charlotte on draft day last Thursday and saw a sign outside of a restaurant that said, "Please let the coach and GM make the pick." And David Tepper took it upon himself to walk into this restaurant and question the people in the establishment about the sign outside. Now, I will preface this by saying a lot of people have taken this out of context and they think that David Tepper walked into this place in a rage and started yelling at everybody in the restaurant, and that's not what happened. The owner of the restaurant actually came out and said, well, it was a civilized discussion, right? He didn't come in spitting angry, but surveillance footage comes out of David Tepper walking into this restaurant on the day of the draft, Thursday, and talking to the person at the host stand. And there's no audio, right? It's surveillance footage. He's talking to this person who is wearing a ball cap. And during this conversation, Tepper takes the hat off the man's head and puts it on the podium in front of him. I think the man was wearing a hat of a different NFL team, and Tepper said something to the effect of, "Oh, you're wearing the wrong hat," and, supposedly did it like playfully, and it was civilized, and he walked back out of the restaurant. But David Tepper doing things like this makes him the dumbest thing in sports this week and continuously the dumbest owner in the NFL. This is so small and petty. Just keep on driving, Tepper. Just keep on driving. Don't walk into the establishment. I don't care how much you're trying to just make it funny or make it civilized, or if you think you're doing something cool for the people in the restaurant. You're not. You're not. Just keep it moving. Do not walk into a restaurant and take off an adult man's hat off of his head over a joke on a sign outside of the restaurant because you're bad at owning a football team and everybody in Charlotte knows it.
He your new Staley?
I mean, I guess, but are we not all in agreement of this? This is not a controversial. The guy throws drinks, has gotten in trouble for throwing drinks at opposing fans.
Allegedly.
At football games, and is doing stuff like this and runs arguably the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL at the moment. So, yeah, I don't think this is a crazy opinion that David Tepper is the worst owner in the NFL. It's same with his MLS side, too. That has actually found some sort of consistency this season, but prior to that had just been a round table of coaches coming in and out, a revolving door. The dysfunction has
seeped through. It's the dismissiveness of taking the hat off the guy's head.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. It's just the even if it's done in a playful fashion, the optics of that are hideous. You know what I'm saying? But this is the way that he's done business his entire life. And you see him in the draft room. He's sitting there poking the scouts and stuff like that, or poking the GM to make sure that he's being paid attention to, because you can see that they're just kind of letting him talk in the background, and all of a sudden he realizes that they're not really paying attention to him, so he then directs their attention to him. You can see this all on the NFL Network's cameras. It's right there. It's almost as dumb as my actual dumbest thing in sports this week, which is the Spencer Rattler draft discussion, okay? Now, and I don't know if this is finable or not, but I know a lot of NFL scouts working in the league for 8 seasons. That's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. That's fine. It's true, and it's also a fine. There's no not pretentious way for me to say that, but it's true. You work around these people every day. I know plenty of good scouts in the NFL, people who don't care about what kind of behavior Spencer Rattler displayed on a television show that he was on in high school. But there are some that are actually this dumb, that would take Spencer Rattler, who dropped, we went, 138 picks between quarterbacks, from Bo Nix to Spencer Rattler, from the 1st to the 4th round, okay, at 12 to 150. Saints took him, and one of the things that was discussed, the draft might not have gone so long without a quarterback had it not been for a reality TV show that Rattler was a part of in high school. Rattler's demeanor on the show raised red flags for teams, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, and it was a factor in his surprising fall to the 5th round. This is why football teams are dumb. This is why the people that are paid millions of dollars, and it's not just the people paid millions of dollars to make these decisions, it's scouts that factor this stuff in. It's how you read these anonymous scouts just teeing off on kids, or executives just comfortable taking out people's character without putting their names on it, this, that, and the other. The idea that one of these mouth breathers really thought that how Spencer Rattler act on a television show while he was in high school, and that is what caused him or contributed to a 138 pick drought from quarterback to quarterback, makes me want to scream, because it's real. It's real. That's what drives me insane. You talk about how ridiculous it is that NFL teams make some of the decisions that they do, or unthinkable it is that some of these NFL teams would make the decisions that they do. This is why it's just a glaring reminder of, no, there is still so many dumb people doing these kind of things.
Yeah, that one was tough. It's not even a off-field incident, right? It's not a legal issue. It's just a 17-year-old being a brat, and it gets caught on camera. He transferred because Caleb Williams took his job, and he gets to South Carolina, and there was never an ounce of an issue with Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. He had a lot to complain about last season, by the way, at South Carolina, the way Spencer Rattler was running for his life, and you hear nothing but good things coming from Shane Beamer, and I should have disdain for Spencer Rattler because he ruined my 2022 college football season in that game against Tennessee. But you've never heard a single negative thing. And that's the first thing they're talking about on NFL Network, on ESPN's draft coverage. Like the moment Spencer Rattler got drafted, was that not the first thing they discussed?
Yeah. I mean, right out of the gate.
And I guess it's part of the story because he fell in the draft and supposedly that's the reason why.
Well, yeah, they're looking for legitimate reasons. And if the reason provided to the insiders is, we didn't like the way he acted on the high school show. It makes my blood pressure spike. Jackson, what's yours?
5 years ago.
I think you're going to disagree with mine, but I think Lucas will be on board with it. I'm going with way too early mock drafts. 2025, like the day after the draft, you're putting out a 2025 mock draft. You don't know where everybody's going to be picking. You don't know what's going to happen in the upcoming college football season. I just think it is a pointless exercise to put out a 2025 way too early mock draft the day after the 2024 draft ends.
Is there a particular mock draft that has you thinking this? Because I think there's one that I have in mind.
It's all of them.
No.
Go ahead.
There's just
Name
the
names,
one.
Jackson.
Go ahead.
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, for God's sake.
We literally had
just
this
talked
conversation.
about
yeah,
this.
the Dane Brugler one.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. The only one that had the Titans picking a quarterback. The best quarterback in the draft next year.
I thought about this days ago. It wasn't that one. I've had this. I thought about this when I saw one like while the draft was still going on.
For those who don't know,
I do think it's dumb.
Dane Brugler put out a way too early 2025 NFL mock draft, and he had the Tennessee Titans selecting Georgia quarterback Carson Beck with the number 2 overall pick. After the he had the Panthers at number 1, picking the defensive lineman Michael Williams.
Dane's going to be on the show in the coming weeks, okay? We're going to give him a little while to decompress. He got actually sick from how hard he worked on the Beast this year, and the Beast is excellent as always. But when Dane gets on the radio show, the first thing that I'm going to ask him is, why do you hate us? Why would you do that to us? We're just having a peaceful offseason. They drafted a left tackle. There's nothing for people to be upset about. Oh, Carson Beck in next year's draft.
Dane, meet window.
Come on. Give me a break, okay? I already had to deal with the dumb mentor gate with Tannehill and Malik. I gotta go through this now. The idea of Carson Beck in a way too early mock draft. All right. We want to give some people the chance to win some tickets.
Yes, if you'll stop yelling for a moment.
I'm very upset with how everything has gone on the show today. It's just a disaster at every turn.
The people in your life have to deal with? Like Grace, your wonderful mother, Karen, is this what they have to deal with routinely? I spend enough time around you, and you're almost always like this. I can't imagine what it must be like for those poor people.
And you're the person that I spend the most time around in my life, which is true. Telling about the nature of our relationship.
We even choose to do it on weekends sometimes, which makes no sense.
615-730, because I don't know what to do. I look at my phone, and I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I'm just waiting for Lucas to tell me what's happening in my life at this point in time. 615-737-1045 is the number. Your chance to win Morgan Wallen tickets to tomorrow night's concert at Nissan Stadium. If you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week, that's next. This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoor stuff that you love to do, whether it's playing on the beach, going for a bike ride, hiking, jogging, whatever. You want to make sure that your joint pain isn't keeping you down. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give new life to your achy joints. Knees, hips, backs, and shoulder. QC Kinetics is here to help you. Their regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, and no drugs. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, who was an orthopedic surgeon, big words, who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine. He knew there had to be a better way to get you a fix with a needle instead of a knife. So call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. All right, you know the rules of the game. What's your name and what do you do for a living? Because I don't want to know where you're calling from. I want to know what you do for a living. For the opportunity to win some Morgan Wallen tickets, the dumbest thing in sports this week, that's all you got to tell us. 615-737-1045. We will decide who gets the tickets for tomorrow night's concert. Yes?
Tomorrow night. He is playing on Friday. How about Friday night in Nashville? And Saturday. It's a busy weekend. We will all be at the Analog for the Install Live Friday night.
Yep.
You've got the Preds playing Game 6 Friday night at Bridgestone Arena. You've got Portugal the Man playing at the Ryman. There's something going on with the Nashville Symphony. And then you got old Chair Chucker playing at Nissan Stadium.
Chair Chucker.
I think we just figured out a new hit song for Chuckin' Chairs by Morgan Wallen.
Chuckin' Chairs? How do we turn that into a country song? We need to workshop that.
That's up to him. Or whoever writes songs for him.
No. We need the person that writes songs or helps him write songs is our guy Ernest, who is just as big a part of his success.
That's a fine.
And is having his own success. No, that's not fair. He's been on the show. We talk to him on a regular basis. He is a friend of the show.
Our
Shameful.
good friend Ernest.
But yes, the best submission for dumbest thing in sports will go to Chair Chucker tomorrow night. Not Friday, but tomorrow night at Nissan Stadium.
He needs to merchandise this as quickly as humanly possible. A line of Morgan Wallen rocking chairs, perhaps, at the nearest Cracker Barrel to you.
Make sure those chairs are heavily bolted when you're at Nissan Stadium this weekend.
615-737-1045 is the number. Let's start with Brandon. Brandon, what do you do for a living?
Hey, what's up, Doug? Thanks for taking my call. I'm an estimator for a concrete company.
Okay, excellent. What's your dumbest thing in sports this week?
Dumbest thing in sports this week for me is everybody giving Jamal Charles so much grief for going up there making his pick. I know it wasn't the easiest listen, but that took a lot of courage for him. He knew that was going to be hard on him going up there, and he went up there and had to announce one of the hardest names in the draft as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. Thank you for the call, Brandon, because we talked about this yesterday, and I kind of like, well, maybe it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world for somebody to just be like, maybe not. Maybe we don't do that just to save him from the embarrassment. But if he doesn't care, what is not it? We don't all have to be bothered on behalf of Jamal Charles, I guess is the way that I should probably look at that. So if he's fine, I'm fine. And remember to stay on hold so Jackson can get back in touch with you. CJ, what do you do for a living?
I drive a seafood delivery truck. How y'all doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for calling.
My dumbest thing in sports would be Mr. Panzika counting out the Predators last night.
Yes.
Is there a record of this?
Hater.
I'm not sure.
Fraud.
I'm not sure there's proof of this.
Get him, CJ.
I'm an idiot and I was wrong.
Cast shame upon the non-believer. I'm with you. Preds in 7. Let's ride.
That's what I'm saying. Preds in 7, baby.
Thank you for the call. I like this whole bandwagon fan thing. I'm going to enjoy this. Heath, what do you do for a living?
Hey, y'all. I'm a safety specialist for a trucking company.
Oh, okay. That's a very important job.
You would think so. I'm not going to elect you guys for the dumbest thing in sports, but I am going to elect the 1045 early morning show and their crew and their banter on the beehive or the group of bees that was at the Dodgers game on the foul ball netting. They didn't understand why you had to delay the game. You don't understand? Yeah, let's just go ahead and give them some popcorn, give them a Coke. Maybe they'll sing with us in the stretch. So my dumbest thing in sports is anyone who isn't willing to delay a game or think it's okay to, play any sport 20 feet from a group of stinging insects. So go Vols. Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
Great call.
So, wait, because they just took out your teammates?
No, just he was fast. He was succinct.
Look at you backpedaling. Backpedal faster.
He had the little quib about his job. A safety specialist. Yeah, in theory that would be an important thing.
I'm
to
just
do.
now scared about the state of trucking safety out there. It's like Boeing. God,
I'm not sure what Ramon, Kayla, and Will had to say about the bees, but you gotta delay the game. How many people could have serious allergies to bee stings in the crowd?
That's the thing. Like, if you're not allergic to bees, it's easy for you to brush off a bee sting. People are deathly allergic to bees. It's a thing. And especially, it's a hive. Like, they're going to be particularly agitated and protective of their situation. You have to get that out of there. You have to massage that situation as much as humanly possible to keep their... Have you ever been stung by not just a bee, but multiple bees at once when they're pissed at you?
No. I have not. That sounds like my worst nightmare. I got attacked by multiple wasps as a young kid, like 3 wasps just taking turns stinging me because I was climbing under our family's deck to get a ball, and I disturbed them.
Oh, you're trapped.
And then they chased me out from under the deck.
Oh,
and then
my
they just
God.
took turns like hovering above me, and I'm just like my hands in front of my face, like Like I must have been 6 or 7 years old. I've been scarred.
That's
and
traumatizing.
Wasps and hornets have been like my biggest fear since that point.
So Heath might be the leader in the clubhouse right now. I like that call in particular, but the thing that happened to me, have you ever heard of ground bees?
No.
I did not know that ground bees were a thing, okay? But apparently there's a segment of the bee population that can nest in the ground, all right, in the right settings. And I was cutting my parents' grass in high school, and I hit with one of these giant, like, walk-behind mowers. Like, it's a giant walk-behind, like, industrial mower for my parents' place. I hit a nest of ground bees with the mower. But this is a mower that will just keep going, and my parents live on the top of a very steep hill where if you let this thing go, it's about, 1,500 pounds of machinery that's just going to go crashing into somebody's car at the bottom of the hill or something like that. So I'm having to have bees in my basketball shorts stinging the holy hell out of me while I'm trying to put this thing in park so that I can then drop my pants and run like hell back to the house because there are bees in my actual pants.
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
I don't know what yours might be worse, though. Like the idea of being stuck in a confined area that way.
No. They chased me out from under the deck.
Still, but you're in a small space that you have to then get out of. That's not ideal.
It was horrible.
But people are trying to save the bees. I guess they're important.
We do need to save the bees.
Okay, we'll stay away from the baseball game. That's a good one. James, what do you do for a living?
I'm in sell building materials.
Okay.
It's no safety director, but it is.
I feel like it should be.
Still important.
Probably. Biggest, LeBron acting like an absolute B. This guy's supposed to be one of the GOATs and all this kind of thing. And while he's failing at another playoff, run, he's out there jumping at ladies, trying to intimidate them, while he's crying himself about being fouled or making a foul. So it's just, the guy's an absolute joke. He's the dumbest thing in sports, without a doubt.
LeBron pivoting to just, I'm about family now, as opposed to the whole ring chasing Jordan championships, this, that, and the other. It's a pretty easy place for people to bury him as he gets run out of town by the Nuggets again. John, what do you do for a living?
I'm in ops and logistics for a tent company.
Okay.
Yeah, my dumbest thing in sports has to be the Georgia pitcher who was trying to be sneaky in the bullpen the other day and obviously putting something on his glove to help doctor pitches in a visiting team stadium, and it's not going to be caught. So that's easily my dumbest thing in sports.
Have you Jackson, you've seen what he's talking about?
Yeah, so Georgia, I'm not sure who exactly Georgia was playing this past weekend, but you can see in the very back corner of the dugout, this guy just crouched down in like a squatting position, and he's clearly putting something on his hands.
Not ideal.
It's a conspiracy.
Okay, well, apparently not. It's
so jarring.
Where's that come from?
The X-Files. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's clearly the X-Files theme.
That's not what I mean. All right, who wins the dumbest thing in sports this week? Who wins the tickets?
Ooh, those were some good submissions. I just saw the LeBron video of him jump scaring the fan. So, he gets fouled, and he's, walking away from that spot in the court. He's, talking about the refs, and this fan calls him a crybaby, and he does, this lunge at her.
It's a woman?
Yes, this woman sitting courtside, and as he walks by her, he kind of does, like a make you flinch type of thing.
The optics of that are not great.
Not great. And I am seeing this picture of this Georgia pitcher just crouched in the corner.
Like Gollum.
He's literally crouched facing the corner. So all you see is like the back of him and his number crouched so suspiciously.
Did you think the logic is just like, well, I'm doing this so obviously that nobody will notice. I'm just out in the open.
It's like, I don't know why you're doing that. I mean, you look like you're either cheating or doing some sort of drug the way you're crouched in that corner trying to hide away. So I don't know. That was John. John had that submission?
Yes.
I think I like John's because that is very blatant.
I'm in favor of Heath, who had the Bees. Jackson, you're the tiebreaker.
I'm going Heath.
Okay, Heath with the Bees at the
fair.
Arizona Diamondbacks game.
The fact that a safety specialist is calling in about that, too.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's completely fair. Congratulations to Heath. He's going to see Morgan Wallen on Thursday night at Nissan Stadium. Fun. So, that's the dumbest thing in sports this week. We will do it again next week at Wednesday at 11 o'clock, as is the custom. Meantime, revenue sharing in college football is a story that's been making the rounds. So we have talked about the potential for a SEC Big Ten kind of power play had things not gone in their favor with the college football playoff renegotiations and the television contracts and the just leverage that those two entities have within the landscape of collegiate athletics. So leaders across college football and other sports have been talking about the possibility of a settlement and a lawsuit that could prepare for a sharing revenue model with athletes in a prospective business model that would just basically fully transform the landscape of collegiate athletics. And this, is just the latest in a line of thing as college football and college basketball, baseball, all college athletics continue to evolve, which includes the introduction of name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, and all the financial decisions and legal decisions that have resulted. Because, Lucas, you said that other people have joined Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Virginia in their fight against the basically improprieties that the NCAA presents.
Yeah, Florida, New York, and the District of Columbia have now joined Tennessee and Virginia's antitrust lawsuit against the NCAA regarding its name, image, and likeness rules. So the NCAA is getting it from all sides right now. They're facing various different lawsuits, and it seems like the realization has come that they need to settle out of this and basically, literally pay for the last few decades, because you've got former athletes wanting back pay for the NIL money they did not get before it was legal while they were playing. And it looks like the goal here with the NCAA and power conferences is to settle into something that lays out the framework for sharing revenue with athletes, which everybody should want at this point.
Dennis Dodd has been doing some good reporting on this at CBSSports.com, and they're calling it, quote, the modern model for collegiate athletics. So it's not only sharing revenue with players that the real money, right? This is what we've talked about. They're not actually getting paid the way that they need to get paid. The way that we talk about these college athletes at any level of sport, anywhere where there is a television deal being done and revenue is being generated off the games themselves, there should be a model in place that shares the television revenue. The main reason that these things are as profitable as they are, the streaming revenue, whatever the case may be, as we get into the age of streamers or further into the age of streamers and live sports rights, that needs to be shared with the athletes. Now, it's not just going to do that, but it's also going to help settle the ongoing lawsuit, which is known as House versus NCAA, that we've talked about, which is scheduled to go to trial, I believe, in January of next year. January 2025 is when the reports have it generally scheduled. It's a class action complaint. It's alleging that the NCAA and the power conferences have basically conspired to suppress athletes' compensation, and that is correct. They will win that lawsuit, which is why they're going to settle. So, as they try and get through the logistics of settling the lawsuit, it's a hurdle for a lot of these programs because they just want to get it out of the way. They want to get this model in place that allows for the revenue sharing because famously, Lucas, we've talked about this, which university has been on the forefront of figuring out how to make athletes paid employees of the university? Tennessee.
Yeah.
Donde Plowman. This is something that's been discussed and that they have been prepared for, which is why you feel, I honestly think the biggest reason beyond, Josh Heupel or, any of the hires that they've made, Rick Barnes, whatever the case of the state of the programs might actually be, the guidance of the athletic department in this particular time in college sports is huge. And the fact that they are proactive as opposed to reactive is going to play into the University of Tennessee's favor and are going to allow them to help set the table for this thing. And the SEC is doing that as a result.
This can get confusing because there are multiple active antitrust lawsuits right now against the NCAA, all of which, and this is from ESPN and Pete Thamel doing reporting, all of which serve as a threat to some part of the NCAA's remaining caps on how athletes are paid. In 3 of those cases, including the House case, athletes are represented by a veteran sports labor attorney by the name of Jeffrey Kessler. Jeffrey Kessler was one of the lawyers that represented Reggie White in his case that was settled with the NFL in 1993 that established the rules for free agency and salary caps for the league. So if that's any indication of where we're kind of headed, it's going to be so fascinating 10 years from now what this looks like, because guys are just getting money from mom and pops and collectives and boosters. They need to be getting money from TV revenue, and this feels like one step closer to that.
Jeffrey Kessler, who is representing the plaintiffs in House versus the NCAA, said, quote, "It's something that schools hope they can take," well, basically the idea of settling. "It's something that schools hope they can take to Kessler and say, here's something that we propose as the future model. Will you take this to settle as a future part of your case?" Is what sources are saying to Dennis Dodd about the ongoing lawsuit and the idea of a settlement. 615-737-1045 is how you react. You can also chime in on the FNM Bank chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. G. Sully on YouTube says, back to back, does the NCAA even have a chance? And then right after it, he says, oh, you answered that. No, they do not. More of your phone calls coming up next. And the winner, quote unquote, of the draft. Was there one? We'll debate. Hello, sunshine. Great song. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. This is one of my favorite shirts, this jersey. Especially good for the weather, starting to heat up, much like Hattie B's. Their menu always on fire, and it's not just hot chicken. The chicken tenders are excellent. Lucas is a sides stan. Absolutely. When he goes to Hattie B's, all of their great offerings and breakfast available at the Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. They're open at 7 a.m. out there, but only that location. Phone calls on the idea of revenue sharing in college football. If you would like to join the discussion, we're also going to talk about quote-unquote winners of the NFL draft. You know the rules, your name, and your occupation. We'll start with Tim, who is simply retired. Hey, Tim.
Hey, I've heard a lot of really thoughtful discussion about revenue sharing among football. Obviously, that's going to include basketball. They're the only two revenue-generating systems for sports in college. But what I'd like to hear also is an equal thoughtful dialogue about the consequences of this that is going to virtually eliminate every other sport in D1, D2 sports. And it's going to eliminate the men's and women's first, and because of Title IX, going to eliminate the women's. So we're going to lose soccer, baseball. We're going to eliminate track. It's all going to go by the wayside. And I'll go off the line to hear the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. So here's the thing, Tim. These are fair warnings that you've pointed out, but I think you make it sound a little more definitive than just yet. Now, the potential consequences of this can be Title IX getting cast aside, non-revenue sports getting, going from varsity collegiate athletics to club or something worse, right? Going without funding, depending on how these situations play out. There's going to be a lot more for those at the top and a lot less for those who are in less viable sports as far as the money is concerned. Josh Pate has done a good job kind of talking about this every time we bring him on. And Lucas, I think we're going to try and make an effort to get Pate on next week, right?
Yes.
The idea that while the NCAA has basically set up their own wild, wild west scenario in what they called at the time the exploratory period, a lot of the best and smartest minds for shaping the future of collegiate athletics kind of sat by the sideline and let some of this stuff play out. And now that you see the potential tailspins or pitfalls like what you've just articulated there coming, there are a lot more people who are involved in things like this SEC and Big Ten revenue sharing plan that they're calling the modern model that will have to account for these things. They're not just going to disappear. There's now more active efforts from people like Donnie Plowman at the University of Tennessee, who's looking around at the landscape saying, okay, we're going to put ourselves in this position for this lawsuit. Here's what we know is we know the outcome of this before we file the suit, right? We know that we're putting ourselves in an advantageous position. We know that the Commonwealth of Virginia is going to join us. We know what dominoes are going to fall afterwards. This is what they get from being prepared. College athletics has been unprepared for the new era. And now that we're 3 years in, people feel like they've got an accurate assessment of the issues facing it to come in and try and rectify it. Because the thing that jumps out to you the most is that they don't want to run these things off. They don't want to lose audience. They want to keep the value of these things, which is the audience, the fan bases, the tradition. All of it is going to be protected because that's the product. That's the thing that you're fighting for all these millions of dollars over. They're not going to outright destroy the product, even though it can look a little doom and gloom with capitalism leering over everything.
But for the most part, college baseball is not a revenue generating sport.
Correct.
There are you could probably count on one, maybe two hands, the amount of schools that make money on baseball, like LSU, and you can count a handful. They're not going to do away with college baseball. Like, they're going to find a happy medium to support these sports and revenue share with athletes that generate tons of revenue for the university. And they're going to have to be proactive in doing so.
Swimming and diving is not just going to disappear.
Right.
Like that's the kind of thing that we're talking about, because the caller makes it sound a little bit more like already like going to happen. Now, Agreed. If they continue on this path without any course correction, yes, that is the risk that they run. There are protections in place. And I mean, not that you should implicitly trust these people to do what's in the best interest of collegiate athletics, because they haven't been, which is why this course correction is why this overcorrection is happening. But right now, that's really all we can do is hope that the smart people have the loudest voices in the room and are trying to make sure that this thing stays as much intact as humanly possible while adjusting for the necessary requirements. It's necessary. Like, this has to happen. These are fair problems to point out, but it absolutely has to happen because it's been wrong for so long. So long. So many people have made so much money that they have no business making because the labor is unpaid. It can't exist. It's literally unconstitutional. Kyle, what do you do for a living?
I am a termite technician again and an amateur tattoo artist.
Okay, now wait, because I got thrown off. You've got hobbies, you've got side gigs. What's the deal?
Man, I'm a hustler. You know how it is out here.
So wait, are they like good tattoos, or are they like Jim Harbaugh prison tats?
Or are you like breaking a pen in half?
Oh, they're prison tats, man. They're prison tats.
Yeah, he's got his termite tools. He's out there digging trenches and then giving you a side tat real quick. All right, what do you got, Kyle?
I want to give you a tattoo, Buck.
What kind of tattoo?
I don't know, that Israel one you got. Or Egyptian, my bad.
Nope. Yeah, it's a little bit of a difference. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to go with the easy one, the Bears. They got two elite prospects, a doozy, and they got their quarterback for the future. They pair together perfect because he can scramble, make time, and then you got the best 50-50 ball receiver going up and making the catch. So I like those two. And they also got that big boy from Yale, the guard. He can also play tackle, but they've already got Darnell Wright. And I think he'll be able to protect Caleb real well. And I think the Bears' future is pretty bright. And on that, I got another thing. I didn't get to call in for the Morgan Wallen tickets. My dumbest thing in sports, people call in Jaden Daniels the next Lamar Jackson. People can't hit Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels, it's like he runs into a rake, like steps on a rake or something. Boom, just knocks himself out, man. And it's not fair to call that guy Lamar. I'm worried about him more being of a Marcus Mariota type, easy college scheme, everything all built perfectly around him.
That's 60 seconds, Kyle. We appreciate it.
Mariota is his backup in Washington.
Oh, that's foreshadowing. Hopefully he doesn't age as quickly as Marcus. I won't say poorly. Marcus doesn't look bad with the gray hair. He's just very, very gray all of a sudden. People are suggesting what kind of tattoos I should get. So I'm willing to make a show bet. I've been inspired by Kyle, the termite technician / amateur tattoo artist. So Harbaugh got the Michigan tat because they went undefeated. They won the national champion.
Yes.
Patino tattoo, even though it got revoked. I think the tattoo's still there.
What are you proposing?
What if the NCAA came for the tattoo?
Give it back.
They did for Ohio State. It's a thing. If we beat Matt Jones and KSR
in the next Barrett Sports Media rankings.
You'll
get a tattoo of my face on your chest. I accept your terms.
A face of both of our faces.
I accept your terms.
I'm willing to negotiate. Kyle Shanahan and is it Kyle Shanahan and Chris Sims that have like the same tattoos on their ankles or whatever the case? I think it's like one another's initials. It's something very, very,
intimate.
Bonding, yes. Very, very intimate. So we can talk about intimate tattoos that we get if we beat Matt Jones of KSR, but, the year that Cal leaves Kentucky for Arkansas.
Get a Hattie Beads tattoo.
I'll get a hat. I'm in.
G. Soley, by the way, in the F&M Bank chat, telling us his Hattie B's order today. He went hot tenders, pimento mac and cheese, and collard greens. Oh, and dirty bird fries. G. Soley, hungry today. I respect it.
Chemically enhanced, perhaps.
For what it's worth, would you like to know where The Athletic ranked the Titans draft class among NFL draft halls?
I would, coming up next. Nashville is such a great place to live. We've got great sports, great entertainment this weekend. A great example of that. Great restaurants. And we also have one of the top volume Ford dealers in the country right here in Middle Tennessee. That's Two Rivers Ford. If you haven't checked out Two Rivers Ford lately, they've pretty much got something for everyone. If you're a business owner, Two Rivers Ford has a commercial fleet division, an entire team dedicated to getting your work trucks and vans for the best price and best financing. And they deliver what you need quickly because they know time is money. You can also get a mobile experience because they have a mobile experience division. It's 2024. Everything comes to you right now, right? It's about your convenience. It's about the Amazon experience. Two Rivers Ford comes to you for mobile service. If you need maintenance on your vehicles, they'll perform basic maintenance like oil changes or new brakes right at your home or office. I've actually had the mobile service experience. It's excellent. It's convenient. The Two Rivers Ford team is always top-notch. They're also the presenting sponsor of the Install Live show this week, and you know they like to invest back in the local community. There's evidence of that all over the place here in Middle Tennessee for the last 40-plus years. Two Rivers Ford has been around for over 4 decades for a reason. That's because they're the South's most trusted Ford dealer at tworiversford.com.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Nashville Predators are still alive, winning 2-1 in Game 5 at Vancouver last night. Roman Josi, Alexander Carrier, the goal scorers. Carrier had the game winner coming from the blue line with just over 7 minutes to go. The Preds now trail the series 3-2 to the Canucks. Game 6 will be in Nashville Friday night. This morning, Preds defenseman Roman Josi named a finalist for the Norris Trophy. It is Josi's third career nomination. He won the award in 2020. Playoff action coming up tonight at 6:30. The Golden Knights at the Dallas Stars. That series is tied up 2-2. The LA Kings are at the Edmonton Oilers as Edmonton will look to close out that series. They hold a 3-1 lead. Winner of that series will play the winner between Preds and Canucks. Tonight in the NBA at 6:30, the Miami Heat at the Boston Celtics. Boston leads it 3-1. And at 9 p.m., the Mavericks at the Clippers. That series is tied up at 2. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. I'm going to say no. I just don't know how you bounce back from that collapse.
Non-believer.
That just feels like something that'll...
A non-believer among us.
Generational hater, Lucas Panzica.
I don't know, man.
Noted detractor of the Nashville Predators, Lucas Panzica, down on the Preds in Vancouver, in a big spot. Lives on their lot. Life on the line?
I was there on Sunday, all right? Don't try to turn this on me. I was there on Sunday. I was wearing my Nashville Predators gold.
It's all your fault.
I don't know. I don't know how you bounce back from that, man. It's that kind of collapse and the way that everybody left that building stunned, players and fans. Rogers Arena is going to be rocking today. This series means so much for the Canucks. Oh. Maybe the Preds dig it out and force them to come back. Vancouver certainly doesn't want to come back to Nashville, but unfortunately, I think there are handshakes tonight. I'm an idiot, and I was wrong.
That's the sound of sweet justice. Welcome into the final hour of the show that is famously one Lucas Panzica prognosticating that the Preds would go down in